Welcome to Policy on Demand's Week in Review. I'm Todd Metcalf.
What would you tell clients are your takeaways from this week?
First, it's a comparatively quiet week in Washington as Congress is on its spring break, and therefore taxpayers are safe in breathing a sigh of relief. But Congress isn't the only game in town. Treasury and the IRS continue their work on guidance for a range of policy changes enacted last year as part of the Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS Act, and others. Unsurprisingly, that process has proven slower, although I'm sure Treasury would probably call it more deliberative and more unwieldy than any affected taxpayer would like. Nevertheless, we are seeing some progress, especially with respect to the incentives enacted as part of the CHIPS Act and the IRA. The administration has made it clear they want to see shovels in the ground on semiconductor and renewable energy projects, so providing clarity in these areas promptly is critical. To that end, Treasury issued guidance on energy communities this week. There was also some welcome economic news earlier this week when the Labor Department issued a report showing that job openings fell below 10 million for the first time in almost 2 years, a sign that the labor market may be cooling. The report also showed that the ratio of open jobs to job seekers fell from 1.9 to 1.7, and somewhat surprisingly, layoffs fell by 215,000. Is this just a one-month anomaly, or does it signal that the Fed's interest rate hikes are finally having an effect on what has been a persistently hot labor market? If so, will the Fed take its foot off the economic brakes in the coming months? Only time will tell, so stay tuned.
Which question related to policy did you get asked the most, and how did you respond?
The most common question I heard this week is one I expect to hear consistently throughout this divided Congress. Will they be able to get anything done? Without being overly optimistic about the scope of things Congress might come to consensus on, I do think there are signs, can we call them spring shoots, that there are areas where agreement may eventually emerge. Affordable housing, investment in tax incentives that increase U.S. competitiveness against China, like restoring R&D expensing, fixing some recent tax policy footfalls, and more. It doesn't always seem that way, but Congress usually gets around to doing the right thing.
Where should companies focus their attention in the coming week?
On the political horizon. Even though there is much more noise in the system than a clear signal at the moment, as I said, Congress does have a way of eventually getting its act together and getting things done. Therefore, taxpayers need to continue to closely monitor what policymakers are doing and saying, and taking whatever steps they can to protect their interests against adverse policy decisions.